letter to myself. Think back before your heart changed shape. You were accountable to no one but yourself. You were naive but mostly happy, full of ideals and somewhat superficial, but happy. But the world stopped when two thin lines showed up. Everything was different. You were a baby carrying a baby. It's funny that you spent 18 years crawling the marathon from infancy to adulthood, but in that second, holding that strip of plastic and whatever it is those tests were made of, you were thrust into a sprint. A sprint to the finish line of the most beautiful pain you can imagine. No amount of classes or advice or old wives' tales can prepare you for that final push. The sheer intensity of the pain you fear will kill you. But then they hand her to you. And suddenly in that moment, you realize love at first sight does exist. It's just not what Hallmark tells you it is. You wonder how you can love someone you just met so much. You realize in that moment, you will do everything within your power to protect the innocent creature of perfection that's now yours to care for. But it terrifies you. As the first days creep by, you know something's not right. You don't know it yet, but you're about to be introduced to a character that will become a part of your story forever. A character that will change personalities, a shapeshifter that will show up in different forms, but it will always be there. Chapter after chapter. The character is mental illness. Chapter 1, postpartum depression. People say it'll get better. It's all in your head, an imaginary villain you're just feeding. But they don't get it. You push through it. You get married even though it doesn't feel right, because you can't not marry your baby's father, right? So you did it. Babies raising a baby, getting married. You were doing the best you could with the situation you were in. Eventually, as the months go on, the postpartum depression starts to fade. You were getting better. You threw away the book after chapter 1 thinking that was it. You slayed that dragon. But then, the world stopped again. Two thin lines showed up. Only this time you were married. Things were better, right? But then shit happened. Babies shouldn't get married. He betrayed you at your most vulnerable time, but you were a mom now. You could suck it up and make it work. You could make a perfect family. So you tried. You smiled through the tears, the heartache, the pain, and then they handed her to you. And suddenly you had two miracles. You wished your path had looked different, but you didn't regret anything. You fought your way through it. And my God, you were a warrior. The world was better now. Life wasn't fair, but you could live with it. It was good enough. But it wasn't. Chapter 2 was beginning. The world stopped again. You had to make some tough choices. You had to leave. This was no environment to raise children in. You can reminisce about could have, should have, or would have, but you did the right thing. But then, that character, the one you wish you could defeat so it would never come back, it came back in through chapter 2 at you so hard you still feel it in the depths of your soul. You still remember the doctor saying it. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Those 3 little words felt like knives. The character of mental illness was back. You were so angry, but it made sense. It wasn't normal, no matter how much you loved your children, to check on them every hour, on the hour, all night long. You needed sleep, you wanted control, but you had neither. And now, chapter 3. The character takes on new form, a beast called trauma. It rarely rears its ugly head at convenient times. All it takes is one small occurrence to trigger the memory. The thoughts of the event that scarred you, that tried to take everything from you. And you let it for a little while. You listened to those voices that told you to just suck it up, to bury it, to get over it already. But damn it, you were only a child. It doesn't work that way. You have to actually heal from it. It's not selfish to take the time to heal. Why couldn't they see that? But you had to learn that it wasn't their journey to go on with you. You had to let them choose to leave your story. No amount of translating your soul will ever work for someone who has no intention of learning its language. So let me tell you something. Will you listen? I want you to know I see you. Like, really see you. The single momming, the loneliness that no one warned you about. No one prepared you for that aching pit in your stomach void, that space left gaping open. I'm sorry no one told you how hard this would be. But apologies do nothing to fill the chasm between where you were then and where you are now. You are enough. There is no such thing as having it all. You tried. You have to embrace the beautiful, crazy chaos of this world. Everyone is broken, they just don't want to admit it. Why are people so afraid of the hard stuff, the difficult times? It's in the messiness you find the authenticity. And life is so messy. There are going to be times where you don't get the closure you need. You're going to experience unimaginable pain. Life will take you places that you don't want to go. And you will survive. People will judge you. They'll fall for the lies they're told, and they'll judge what they don't understand. Let them call you crazy. You will lose people but find yourself, and that is worth more than anything. You are enough. Loving others should never come at the expense of not loving yourself. Do you hear me? I need you to know. You are enough. You are enough. Don't you dare think for a second that you're not. Express your shame and it will lose all power over you. Your battle scars have become jewels in your crown. Wear it with pride, my dear. You have survived. Trust the path you're on. You are right where you need to be. Strive to be the woman you want your daughters to emulate. Be who you needed and didn't have when you were a little girl. And I promise you, a day will come, though you may not see it yet, but a day will come when you will tell your story and it will no longer scare you. You will find your voice and you will use it loudly. And you'll know you have healed and set yourself free. Until then, you must rest in the knowledge that you are enough. You are enough. Trust that the world always goes back to turning.